Hello and welcome to the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Today we focus on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting with the Chief Ministers of the state to discuss the formation and functions of the Niti Aayog. We also take a look at the mood of the political parties in Delhi a day after the assembly elections. But first, the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting of the Niti Aayog Council, 3 Chief Minister subgroups to advise centre on various subjects. Bihar political crisis enters crucial phase. JDU MLAs and allies submit letters backing Nitish Kumar as Chief Minister to the Governor's office. Stormy scenes at annual Munich Security Conference as world leaders debate crises in Ukraine and Middle East. And in the first warm-up match ahead of the World Cup, India lose to Australia by 106 runs. First, the top story. The Prime Minister urged all Chief Ministers to work with the centre to forge a model of cooperative federalism. In the first meeting of the Governing Council of Niti Aayog, Modi announced the creation of 3 subgroups within the Aayog. He also asked the states to set up 2 task forces each.
Chairing the first meeting of the Governing Council of Niti Aayog on Sunday, the Prime Minister emphasized the importance of states in the overall development of the country.
Thrust of the opening comments of the Prime Minister were in the context of the governance model where you can actually see cooperative federalism at play. He mentioned that the priorities are growth, investment, jobs, poverty alleviation, decentralization, efficiency and no delay in execution of projects. He highlighted that the economic activity really has to take place in the states.
At the meeting, the Prime Minister also announced that Niti Aayog will have 3 subgroups of Chief Ministers on different issues. The first subgroup will study 66 centrally sponsored schemes and recommend whether they should continue or stop or be transferred to states. The second subgroup will study the promotion of skill development and creation of skilled manpower in states. The third one will deal with the institutional mechanism and technological inputs to make Swachh Bharat a part of life in perpetuity. Several chief ministers at the meeting sought higher flow of funds from the centre to the state.
हमने आग्रह किया है कि जो हमारे राज्य हैं उनके लिए स्पेशल स्टेटस बना रहना चाहिए और जो फंडिंग पैटर्न है वो भी यथावत बना रहना चाहिए और हमने उनसे ये भी आग्रह किया है कि इन राज्यों के अपने भौगोलिक महत्व को देखते हुए केंद्र सरकार को इनके सीमांत क्षेत्रों के विकास का दायित्व पूरी तरीके से उठाना चाहिए.
The Prime Minister also asked states to set up 2 task forces each, one for poverty alleviation and the second to recommend push for agriculture in each state. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In fact, my colleague Vishal Dahiya is now joining us for more on that. Vishal, now 3 chief ministerial subgroups have been announced in the meeting today. Tell us more about these subgroups.
Well, very important out here because these 3 subgroups which have been constituted by the Prime Minister as far as Niti Aayog is concerned. Now, these will be functioning in the ages of Niti Aayog only. The members of this subgroup will be, announced once there is a consent from the concerned chief ministers who want to be a part of these subgroups. But the focus area of these subgroups, first of all, the first one that is really important because that particular subgroup will have a relook at all the 66 centrally sponsored schemes. The idea is to go ahead and recommend as to which all schemes can continue, which of these schemes can be transferred to the states as far as the implementation and the funding pattern part of is concerned, and which of these schemes can be done away with in part or in full. And this particular subgroup, what we are being told by our sources within the government is that this is the report of this subgroup is likely to be submitted in a month and a half. Now, that would be really crucial. The second subgroup is going to concentrate on the skill development part, as to how issue of skill development can be tackled as far as states are concerned.
Okay.
Similarly, there will be a third subgroup which will again have a focus area. And then there are two, task forces which the Prime Minister has suggested to all the chief ministers that they should, constitute these two task forces in each state. And these two task forces will have very important agenda. One of them will give recommendations about poverty alleviation, and the second one will talk about how the agriculture growth can be further boosted.
Right. Vishal, the idea is that Niti Aayog should be made a federally empowered institution. This is what the idea behind the whole thing is. So what other measures have been devised in order to promote that?
Well, since the day one, when this was being announced by the Prime Minister from the ramparts of Red Fort on 15th of August, that the Planning Commission will be done away with and there will be a new structure, new mechanism. The entire idea, and that is something which was communicated by the Prime Minister at that point in time and later on at several stages as well, also from the senior ministers of the government, that the entire idea behind bringing a new infrastructure, putting it in place and a new mechanism, which is now known as Niti Aayog, is to promote corporate federalism. That is better relations between center and state. Now, the way it will function is that there is a governing council which met today. It has all the chief ministers and lieutenant governors of the union territories. They will give their inputs. Now, having these subgroups and task forces will further boost this idea of bringing in that parity between the center-state relations, and the entire functioning of the Niti Aayog will focus around the suggestions which will come in from the states and its chief ministers.
All right, Vishal. Thank you so much for those inputs there. All right, let's move on in the bulletin. Now, the political drama in Bihar is expected to enter a decisive stage tomorrow when Governor Kesrinath Tripathi arrives in Patna. The leadership crisis was precipitated on Sunday with the JDU MLAs reaching the governor's office with support letters for Nitish Kumar after sacking Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi. Now, Manjhi, on the other hand, met Prime Minister Narendra Modi to discuss the crisis with him in Delhi.
Clearing the decks for forming a government under Nitish Kumar's chief ministership, a JDU delegation along with other party allies submitted letters of support to the Bihar governor's office. But the political drama seemed to be by no means over. Despite being defeated by the lack of numbers, Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi put up a brave face on Sunday.
मांझी जी रहेंगे, नीतीश कुमार को बनने का कोई सवाल पैदा नहीं होता है। हम लोग बहुत सारे एमएलए से कांटेक्ट में हैं। आरजेडी के भी 1 दर्जन एमएलए कांटेक्ट में है, जेडीयू के भी जो हम लोग तो हैं विक्षुब्ध खेमा, हम लोग तो 24-25 आदमी पहले से हैं। नीतीश खेमे के भी कई लोगों से हम लोग संपर्क बनाए हुए हैं, कांटेक्ट में हैं, और निश्चित रूप से मांझी जी रहेंगे या चुनाव होगा या जीताराम मांझी मुख्यमंत्री रहेंगे।
On Saturday, in a curious turn of events, Manjhi recommended the dissolution of the state legislature, but he was supported by only 7 cabinet ministers with an overwhelming 21 ministers opposing him.
इसकी स्क्रिप्ट दिल्ली में लिखी गई है। श्री अमित शाह इसके संचालक हैं और उन्हीं के इशारे पर जनता दल में टूट हुई है। उन्हीं के इशारे पर विधानसभा को भंग कराने के प्रयास जारी हैं। हमारे पास 130 का मैजिक नंबर है। हम राजभवन से लेकर के राष्ट्रपति भवन तक अपनी मेजॉरिटी साबित करने के लिए तैयार हैं।
The BJP claimed it had nothing to do with the crisis and in fact accused Nitish Kumar of leading the anti-Manjhi campaign in JDU.
हमने तो नीतीश कुमार जी को रिजाइन करने को नहीं बोला था। बीजेपी ने तो नहीं कहा था कि मांझी जी को बना। मांझी जी खास करके उनके खासम खास लोगों में थे और वो महादलित का राग भी अलाप रहे थे, तो इस इंटेंशन से उन्होंने बनाया। तो ये जवाब तो उन्हीं को देना पड़ेगा कि एक व्यक्ति को जिनको आप बनाए, आप प्रोटेक्ट उनको नहीं कर रहे हैं और उनके खिलाफ आप ही माहौल बिगाड़ रहे हैं।
In the end, Manjhi seemed to have precipitated the situation by kept his party on tenterhooks. The last straw for the JDU was when he even praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The BJP was keen to exploit the crisis but has been wary of propping up Manjhi, whose tenure has criticized even by its own state unit. Also, the Mahadalit leader just did not command the numbers within his own party, which gave Nitish Kumar the advantage. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to news from the national capital. Well, just a day after Delhi went to polls, the parties and candidates involved seem to be in no mood to relax. Both the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party held meetings to take stock of the situation today. While the mood seems to be one of introspection in the BJP camp, our chief Arvind Kejriwal has asked his party members to chill and relax. As Delhi keenly awaits the assembly election result, the man who is the centre of attention right now, Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal, has asked his partymen to chill. In a tweet, he said, and I quote, "Volunteers, you did an amazing job. Relax for 2 days, spend time with your family, sleep, watch movies, meditate, chill. God bless you." Many senior party leaders, however, met at Kejriwal's residence in Kaushambi in the afternoon.
जो एग्जिट पोल से एक संभावना पैदा हो रही है, दिल्ली में एक पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार थी, उसमें 10 तारीख को आशानुकूल नतीजे मिलने के बाद हम एक बेहतर दिल्ली का संकल्प जो हमने दिल्ली वालों के सामने प्रस्तुत किया था, उस दिशा में कैसे बढ़ सकते हैं, इस पर एक सामान्य रूप से हमारी चर्चा हुई.
In a different corner of the city, BJP's chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi was on complete voice rest as she too spent a relaxed morning at home. Her tweet was more philosophical. She tweeted Delhi with a greeting and said the only thing constant and predictable was the sunrise. Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman visited Bedi at her Uday Park residence. After the meeting, the minister sounded hopeful of a win.
I think she has given her personal belief that because she was projected as a CM candidate, and she will be a true leader from up front, and she said what she has said. But the result will have to come on the 10th. We are hopeful that the result will go in our favour and we'll wait for it.
All 70 candidates of the BJP, including Kiran Bedi, as well as state BJP chief Satish Upadhyay, Delhi polls in charge Prabhat Jha, and a few national leaders are set to review the party's performance in the polls. A majority of the exit polls have indicated that the party will lose to Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And as the counting day nears, the Election Commission and the Office of the Chief Electoral Office are preparing for the D-Day. Now, foolproof security arrangements are being made at all the 14 counting centres to prevent any untoward incident. Our correspondent Smriti Rastogi took stock of the situation.
I'm standing here at one of the counting centres in the New Delhi constituencies. At my back, we can see the heavy deployment of police personnel guarding the EVM machines which are kept inside. Though we are not allowed to go inside the gate, but from the visuals which we are getting from here, it's very clear that the security situation is very tight inside. I would also like to tell you that EVMs of 7 constituencies are kept here. And we can also see the Aam Aadmi Party volunteers who are standing here to, they have come here voluntarily to take care of the security situation, to understand if there is any discrepancy in the EVMs, though they are not allowed to go inside, but still they are hoping to get some pass, some card through which they can go inside and get to see the security situation in detail. With camera person Mahesh, Smriti Rastogi, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
And in other news, the swine flu epidemic is showing no signs of abating. Now, there is a steady rise in the number of cases testing positive for the H1N1 virus and also deaths because of it. Now, this is posing a serious challenge to the health authorities. Spreading fast across several states, the H1N1 virus killed 5 more people in Gujarat on Saturday, taking the death toll up to 71 since 1st of January. 70 new cases were also reported. Apart from Gujarat, Rajasthan and Telangana are the worst affected.
Swine flu का फैलाव निरंतर राजस्थान में बढ़ रहा है, चिंता का विषय है. हमने सभी चिकित्सकों की छुट्टियां रद्द कर दी है. सभी जिला चिकित्सालयों में आइसोलेशन बेड और आईसीयू की स्थापना कर दी है. सभी आवश्यक औषधियां जहां कमी है वहां लोकल परचेज करने के लिए अधिकृत कर दिया है. कोई भी स्वाइन फ्लू का रोगी टेस्ट कराना चाहे उसको मुफ्त में टेस्ट.
More alarmingly, the number of deaths has been rising sharply. Last year saw 2,038 cases of the flu. Already this year, 937 cases have been reported across the country. Close to 215 died in just 1.5 months this year, in contrast to 238 deaths in 2014. The centre started its battle to cope with the menace. Apart from Rajasthan, Gujarat and Telangana, 7 other states of Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Punjab, Tamil Nadu and Odisha are under close watch.
We have suspected around 24 cases and we send all the samples to Institute of Preventive Medicine Hyderabad. 7 cases attempt to be negative and 6 cases are positive. All the positive cases as well as the suspected other cases also are fine.
The central government is assessing and coordinating assistance to the states that reported the swine flu deaths. The Union Health Ministry has asked states with surplus drugs to transfer them to the others. The ministry is also sending specialists to the worst affected states. It has also appealed to the states to be observant about the vulnerable population. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And now more national news in our special segment Nationwide. Most of the parts of Kashmir received a fresh snowfall and rains, providing relief from the cold wave for the second day in a row. According to the Met Department, the weather will remain dry for a few more days. BJP bagged 23 of the 33 Zilla Parishads in Rajasthan, while the Congress managed just 9 in the keenly fought Panchayati Raj polls. The ruling party lost 2 Zilla Parishads and formed its board in 21, while the Congress formed its board in 12 in the Zilla Pramukh elections. Trade was suspended across the line of control on Sunday. Now, this came after Pakistan impounded 50 Indian trucks following the seizure of 22 trucks by India. Coming from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, these trucks were seized for carrying drugs. Self-styled guru and Dera Sacha Sauda chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim took to Twitter on a Saturday night to announce the new name of his controversial film. Gurmeet Ram Rahim said that the new name of the film will be MSG, The Messenger. The film releases on 13th of February. All right, we'll take a very short break here. Coming up ahead, another incident of shooting reported from United States. A gunman has killed at least 5 people, including a 7-year-old in Atlanta. That and much more after a short break. Welcome back after the break. On to some international news. And the world leaders flocked together in Munich at the annual Munich Security Conference. The conference that started on Friday witnessed stormy sessions on key challenges in the international security policy. The ongoing Ukrainian crisis, along with Middle East, is topping the agenda.
At the 51st Munich Security Conference, the focus was on the Ukrainian crisis. German Chancellor Angela Merkel reiterated the crisis should be solved through diplomatically and not with weapons. However, US and European officials were still divided over how to provide aid to the Ukraine government.
Niemand von uns hat ein Interesse an einer neuen Spaltung in Europa und schon gar nicht an einer Konfrontation mit dem Risiko unkontrollierbarer Eskalation. Wir wollen Sicherheit in Europa gemeinsam mit Russland gestalten, nicht gegen Russland.
Right now, the U.S. policy is non-lethal aid, so we'll continue to provide the sort of equipment and supplies that we have been providing.
Even as a tirade of anti-Russia comments reverberated at the Munich conference, Russia stood firm on their decision that they will not wage war on anyone. Significantly, Russian President Vladimir Putin's comments come a day after Merkel and French President François Hollande met him on Ukrainian crisis.
А другим можно то, только что он разрешит, и только в его интересах. Такой миропорядок Россию никогда не устроит. Если кому-то это нравится, кто-то хочет жить в условиях полуоккупации, мы этого делать не будем.
The Middle East crisis was another area of concern, with Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi demanding more support to tackle the Islamic State.
Not only threatening, it depends on the readiness of the Iraqi security forces. We need armament, we need munition, we need the acceleration of training. I've seen a lot of that forthcoming. There's a huge change now in terms of the support given to us by international coalition.
Even as the closed-door discussions continued, Ukraine's military reported continued shelling on Saturday, but the mudslinging continues between the government and rebels over the crisis. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And a shocking news coming in from the US, where a gunman killed at least 5 people, including a 7-year-old, on Saturday at a home in Atlanta. Now, 2 people were reportedly injured. Police officials said that the gunman shot 6 people before he killed himself. The names of the suspect or the victims have not been released yet. Investigations are on, and they're trying to figure out if the gunman and the victims were related in any way.
This afternoon at approximately 3 p.m., we received a phone call, a 911 call of shots fired at Willow Tree Circle in Amber Forest Subdivision. We arrived on the scene. We had multiple fatalities and multiple victims, including children.
And some more international news and updates in our special segment, Global Buzz. Parents of an American hostage who the Islamic State group claimed had been killed in a US-led coalition airstrike say that they are hopeful that she is still alive. IS jihadists said that Kayla Jean's Muela was buried under the rubble when a Jordanian warplane hit a building in the Syrian city of Raqqa. The United States said there was no proof that the 26-year-old aid worker from Arizona had been killed. Nigeria postponed its presidential election on security grounds as the Boko Haram conflict intensified. The 6-week delay was announced on Saturday after security chiefs said that the military needed more time to secure areas under the control of Boko Haram and the Islamic extremists who had seized swathes of northeastern Nigeria. Baghdad's decade-old nightly curfew ended after midnight Sunday hours after bombs exploded in and around the Iraqi capital, killing at least 40 people. The deadliest of the bombings happened in the New Baghdad neighborhood, where a suicide bomber detonated his explosives in a street filled with hardware stores and a restaurant, killing 22 people. Trans-Asia Airways representatives met on Sunday with the relatives of the victims of the last week's plane crash in Taiwan to discuss the compensation. At the river crash site, divers tried to find the bodies of 3 people still missing by using metal detectors to locate their watches or their seat belts. At least 40 people died after the propeller jet crashed into the muddy Keelung River minutes after takeoff from Taipei's airport. Well, we'll take a very short break here. Stay with us for more news and updates. Welcome back. On to some sports news. And the BCCI Working Committee met in Chennai and decided to hold its annual general meeting and election bearers on 2nd of March. Now, the meeting was held in the wake of the Apex Court order on 22nd of January, stating that the BCCI will have to hold its AGM come elections within 6 weeks. The court also clearly told that BCCI's president in exile, Srinivasan, cannot contest the presidential elections unless he dissociates himself with the India Cements owned CSK, whose name is involved in the IPL spot fixing case. The committee also decided to increase the monthly salary of all former cricketers by 50%, subject to a maximum of 50,000 rupees per month, effective from January of this year.
It has been decided by the working committee that the annual general body meeting will take place on 2nd of March at 9:30 am in Chennai. So AGM date has been finalized, and as per the Supreme Court directive that elections had to take place within 6 weeks. So that's why the AGM date, which was very important and crucial, that has been fixed for 2nd of March.
And Australia defeated India by 106 runs in the first World Cup warm-up match at Adelaide Oval on Sunday. After winning the toss and batting first, Australia got off to a quick start with openers Aaron Finch and David Warner. Twin centuries from David Warner and Glenn Maxwell helped Australia to put up a huge total of 371 against India. In reply, India managed to score 265 runs only in 45.1 overs. Middle order batsman Ajinkya Rahane top scored with a fluent 66 for the defending World Cup champions. Opener Shikhar Dhawan scored 59 runs, while the middle order batsman Ambati Rayudu managed 53 runs for his team.
So what's going to get in the side, is it? Warner.
Well, that's all in this edition of News at 6. But before we go, Singapore's Lion dance team emerged as the winner of the 8th International Lion Dance Competition. Take a look at this fun dance performance as we take your leave.